Hey
Yeah.
guys,
Oh,
Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. We are back getting this live in. Tran is apparently shaved his facial hair, didn't tell me about it. So that was an abrupt surprise. But welcome back, everybody, to Fanatic Perspective. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus, a little life break. A lot of things have just personally in my life and wrestling with everything. So needed to take some time away, to have some space and kind of take a mental break. But we're back now. Tran, it's great to see you, brother.
it's great to see you too, man. You and I have been talking back and forth, but it's good to get face to face with you.
I know. I know. Before we jump in, we still got our wonderful sponsor, BUSR, busr.com/fanatic, the official sponsor, the official sportsbook, the official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. We have some really cool stuff coming up, by the way. We are going to be collaborating with a very, very popular Houston sportscaster, way of ESPN, who is not Brad Kellner, by the way, very closely affiliated to Brad Kellner, way of BUSR for a March Madness contest that we're going to be doing. And we will be airing some content about the NFL offseason on that individual's channel. So we'll have announcements coming soon, but we're also going to be doing a selection show preview via BUSR. So if you want to get involved right now, today, take advantage of that Sports 100 FP promo code, busr.com/fanatic. And it's really cool to check that out because, NBA, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal fight this weekend via UFC. So a lot to take advantage of. Great to have everybody in the chat. Y'all know what to do. Check in, hit that like button, show us some support. Best way you can help us is by hitting the subscribe button. So go ahead and pause the video, do what you got to do, hit that subscribe button, check out the notification bell. We're going to be ramping back up with more and more content. So as everybody's getting in here, y'all let me know what's good. So good to see some familiar faces here in the chat. As long as everybody's behaving, I'll overlay the chat, Tran. So I want to be organized today. I'm normally, we kind of
We shoot from the hip normally.
We do. But today, I think with spring ball roughly 20, I want to say 20 days out from the start of spring practice. I believe that's March 22nd, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. You know what the deal is. This is something that's been on my mind all off season. It's just who are the most important guys heading into this spring. And before we get started, because I told you today what kind of I wanted you to think about kind of who your guys you want to pay attention to. And you guys in the comments can start firing away with kind of the guys, whether it's 5 people, whether it's 10 people, whether it's 3 people, what does an important spring mean to you? And so to me, I'm going to start with my definition. It's not the 5 best players. I'm not ranking players. Okay. I'm not saying Bijan Robinson and Xavier Worthy. Why? Because they just need to get out healthy to me. Like that, those people are established. I know what they are. They've been productive football players. Bijan Robinson now for a couple seasons here at Texas. I just need him to get out of the spring healthy. So when I'm saying important, I'm talking about to the win-loss outcome in terms of make or break for the season. It could be important for a myriad of reasons. Some guys that are younger players where somebody in front of them has left the program, or there is new opportunity, or they're a new face to the program. I'm talking about those type of people. I'm talking about people who this could be the last chance for you to step up. I'm talking about for people we've been waiting on, people that were maybe former high-ranked recruits. Pay attention to one of the players that was in the thumbnail in the video. Those are the type of people I'm talking about. So hopefully I'm qualifying this accurately in terms of what I mean by the most important people. So
and you forgot one factor that we're adding in as well is that they have to be on campus for spring spring practice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't name right. Like,
Yeah.
don't name Troy O'Meary,
Mm-hmm.
and he's probably not going to even practice until the summer, right? Like, or any of the 7, or outside of Cole Hudson, but any of the offensive linemen who are summer, fall enrollees. So great point, Tran.
Yeah.
For me, you know what? I'm gonna start top down because we're gonna start off with a bang. I want to start off with a bang, Tran, and then you tell me where you're at with this, because I don't know if you want to go your 5 or my 5, but I want to start with there's one player who's just important, right?
Yes, I kind of want to go. I kind of want to name mine and see if we're on the same wavelength, because it's make or break for him. Christian Jones is number 1 for me. We're going to see. Everyone's going to talk about the quarterback. That's extremely important for our program. However, if no one's blocking for him, it doesn't matter who you have. You have back there taking snaps. It doesn't matter. And Christian Jones has always been the guy who everyone says he looks like the prototypical left tackle, and he just hasn't lived up to those standards yet. So this is the make or break spring for him, because we're going to see whether they're going to say, oh, he's ready to take that next step, or we got to hit one more grad transfer for him.
Christian Jones is on my list, but he's not number 1 for me.
Okay.
But he is on my list. So, you know what? Let me make sure my phone is off, because I want to get to my number 1 player, because I do disagree with you.
That's fine.
It's Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers is the number, to me. This is how I'm doing it. I think number 1, because I do have Christian Jones number 2 on my list.
Okay.
And I kind of have it as a Christian Jones, and I hate doing this, but I'm gonna qualify it. I have it as Christian Jones / Andre Carrick, because both tackles are important, but they're number 2. Number 1 for me on my list, most important people for this spring, is Quinn Ewers. For the simple, I believe that heading into and somebody's going to screen grab this. I don't really care. Like I said, we getting some hot takes off our chest today. And please understand what I'm saying. You can make a very strong argument that Quinn Ewers is not just the most important player heading into the spring for Texas. You can make a very strong argument Quinn Ewers is the most important player heading into the college football season. Good or bad. Good or bad. I'm not saying he's the best player. I'm not going to say he's going to deliver all these goods. But we're going to find out now in terms of this hype. We're going to find out now in terms of the arm talent, in terms of the potential. The person that I've always compared him to in terms of Matthew Stafford just won a Super Bowl for the Los Angeles Rams after, dying trying in Detroit and all those years. He gets to LA year 1, wins a championship with Sean McVay. But with Quinn Ewers, the reason why I'm saying the most important player in 2022, he's the highest ranked quarterback recruit coming out of high school. Now, granted, he spent the year at Ohio State. We all understand that. You look at the Trevor Lawrences of the world, the Vince Youngs of the world, these highly, highly, highly rated recruits. And I've said this on the channel before, and I'm going to say it again. Let me be very clear. When Vince Young came out of high school, Texas was at least established in terms of being a contender. The culture was established. Okay. Texas was a 11-win team, a team competing at, being ranked consistently in the top 10, sending people to the NFL, full of first-round picks when Vince Young got here. Now, Vince Young got here and took us from that level to a national championship. When Trevor Lawrence showed up at Clemson, Clemson had just come off the playoffs with Kelly Bryant after winning a national championship with Deshaun Watson. Clemson at that point, with the way Dabo had things rolling, we know about all those guys on the defensive line that all went in the first round. They were established. You can even throw Justin Fields in there, who was like a .999 whatever recruit. At Georgia or Ohio State, pick one. They were established. Texas and Quinn Ewers going to Ohio State last year. Ohio State was established. We saw what they did offensively and the production they did as they went on to win the Rose Bowl. With Quinn Ewers coming to Texas in this scenario, having not thrown a college pass yet, he's probably the best example of one of those top creme de la creme prospects who is stepping into a situation where we are not established. We are rebuilding our culture. We are trying to, now we have talent, but we also haven't had a first round pick in 7 years. And we're not going to have a first round pick in this draft. So we're stepping into a situation where we are trying to build this up. And we have this level of prospect coming in here. What I can't see again is the back and forth. Oh, he's trying to keep his head above water with Hudson Card. That's just like if we start getting into the same practice reports that we had with Casey Thompson, and he's inconsistent and it's being strung along, and it's not being strung along because Hudson Card is also just balling out of his mind, but it's like they're kind of inconsistent each day, like we heard with Casey Thompson, then we have issues. I'm going to tell you that right now, because one thing we will not do again, I see a lot of people in our fan base. I understand the excitement, but a lot of people in our fan base right now are drinking the Kool-Aid already. And we haven't won anything. And we haven't done anything. We're still a 5-7 football team. We're trying to build the culture back. All right. It was just a few months ago we started the Bo Davis video. So we got to be careful and understand what we're trying to establish here, and understand what are the proper expectations for Quinn Ewers. If he comes here and he's the prospect and the guy, I love all the off the field stuff I'm seeing and the interaction with his teammates. Great signs. We've got to see it play out this spring. He's got to take command of this job, to me. Steve Sarkeesian, I don't expect him to outright name Quinn Ewers a starter, but I don't want to see this nonsense again where Casey Thompson takes all the reps with the ones in the spring game and the other guy's taking the other reps, and then we're going this back and forth and it's confusing to everybody. Let's keep it a buck and let this man take control of the team if he's ready to do so. So to me, and I'm sorry for rambling, but I really need to get this off my chest. It is time for him to take. So J.S. Hooper said Vince Young redshirted. Ewers won't have that luxury. Ewers redshirted last year at Ohio State, though. Mm-hmm. So he has sat a year. It's not like he spent. It's not like a Caleb Williams situation where he didn't play a senior year of high school and didn't redshirt. That's not the case with Quinn Ewers. He did redshirt technically over at Ohio State. Different system, though. Tran, what's your rebuttal to that? Because I said a lot there, and I want to be respectful.
No, I mean, so you were talking about inconsistency with who's performing in practice and who's not. You know, we also have to worry about, you know, the consistency of the message of who's delivering that message as well. So we have to wait until we see him out there to play. The reason why I selected offensive line first is like, if we have that offensive line, he doesn't have the same athleticism and the escapability that I believe that Casey Thompson had. Casey Thompson was better prepared to run this offense than Hudson Card last year. He'd be better prepared.
Who doesn't have that?
I'm talking about Ewers. I don't think that Ewers is as athletic as Casey Thompson.
I disagree with that. Personally, I disagree with that. But go ahead.
That's fine. No, you disagree all you want, but I'm just saying I'm just saying he has, I think, all the arm talent in the world. I think he could thread a needle. You know, he could put it where he needs to put it. Does he have athleticism? Of course he does. But also Hudson Card has athleticism. You know, we forget how athletic he was, and Casey Thompson still looked better in this offense than Hudson Card. With that said, if he has 1 second, 1.5 seconds to even determine where to go with the ball, I mean, it doesn't matter who you put back there. It really doesn't, because you're just rushing the quarterback over and over again on his throws, on his progressions. He can't go through his progressions, and he's getting hit left and right. You know, and you know, I haven't seen this kid take a big time college football hit yet.
True.
So I really want to protect first and foremost whoever we have. I mean, who won the national championship?
Georgia. Stetson.
Yeah. Do you think even though he played great that game, do you think he's going to be a 4-year starter in the NFL?
Hell no. Hell no.
Exactly.
No, Stetson's going to be a really dope college GA and quarterback coach, all the whole bit. Great story.
Yeah.
Write a movie. That's Rudy Part 2 right there. No disrespect to
No,
Stetson. He's going to make a
100%.
lot of movie
100%.
off his name, image, likeness in his movie and his script.
Mhm.
But
My point is, if you have a offensive line and a guy who could actually understand the offense and the scheme that you're running, you could still be successful. Now, if you have a strong offensive line and one of the top rated quarterbacks who's ever been rated, almost, it's a recipe for success. So and my number 2 was actually like we're flip flop. My number 2 was yours. So because of that, because once we get the offensive line established, will we give him time to grow? Will he be able to be that leader? I agree with you. I love seeing him all over campus. I even love seeing people fans videotaping him in his car of the day. So I'm all about it. So it's not really a rebuttal because I have him. We're naming them 1 and 2. It's really 1A, 1B for me.
so Stetson got to play with everybody. Stetson has become the king of the Stars Don't Matter gang. And I hear you guys loud and clear out there on social media, but let me be very clear about this. Georgia's about to send an assload of dudes to the NFL. Okay, that entire roster is a accumulation of 5 stars, and not even just 5 stars, but people that were number 1 overall at their position coming out of high school. Georgia's been recruiting at an insanely high level to the point where you can win a national championship with Stetson Bennett. It doesn't even matter. Like, seriously. So he just had to be good leadership, right? And make some throws and don't screw it up, right? And we can win, especially getting multiple looks at Bama. But I will say, Quinn's not going to have, again, he's stepping into a situation where we are trying to build back up. We are not established. It's not even like even Trevor Lawrence. Go look at early Trevor Lawrence, like around when they were still kind of going back and forth with Kelly Bryant before Kelly Bryant transferred and the other kid went to Duke. And then Trevor Lawrence like really, really, really took over, right? There was still a growth period for him. Now, by the time Clemson made it to the playoffs, Trevor Lawrence was rolling. And you could see the talent. He's hitting T. Higgins. He's hitting Justin Ross, ATN in the backfield. But they were loaded. They were loaded. And we're asking this dude to come in. That's why I'm saying he's one of the most important players in all of college football. Think about it from this perspective. Quinn Ewers is the first great example of NIL. He's the NIL king coming out of high school. This is critical in terms of what NIL looks like. If he's successful, the bag's only going to go up for kids coming out of high school. Please believe it. Because until Arch Manning plays, because Arch Manning eventually will be the most important in terms of brand and name and all that. But until Arch Manning comes to college, Quinn was being talked about already in NFL circles, already talked about, they had a full segment about him on Pat McAfee's show. They don't even really talk college ball like that over there, right? He's getting talked about in circles outside of the normal, the late kicks, all of our establishment, RJ. He's getting talked about way outside of the spectrum of college football. So we got to be mindful of how big of a name and a brand he already is without throwing a pass. And it could sway Texas even if he's just playing well, that matters. Even if he's just playing well. I'm not even saying, out here winning, going 11-1 in his freshman year. I'm just saying out here looking good and looking like we see the talent. We see what he looks like in Steve Sarkeesian's offense with an Xavier Worthy, with a Bijan Robinson, with an Isaiah Nayor. So I am really, really, really excited to see what that looks like from just the college football name, image, likeness perspective as well. Tran, I think that's critical. I do have moving to your point, and we can bounce back and forth, but I want to get these takes out early. So number 1, I have a list, and what I'll do is I'll put the list up here. So you mentioned we're like you said, we're flip-flopping. I have Christian Jones and / Andre Carrick because I think people are actually coming into the spring. Everyone's doing one of two things. Not everyone, but a lot of people are doing one of two things. Either we're skipping ahead and saying none of these dudes are going to start, and all the freshmen are going to come in the summer and just take their jobs off break. And we're going to have Kelvin Banks starting. We're going to have DJ Campbell starting. We're going to have, Cam Williams competing for a job. We're going to have all these people all over the place, right? But I think in reality, with what we do have coming off of the end of last season, I think you're really just looking at those tackles right now. I think Jake Majors is your starting center. I'm not freaking out, losing sleep at night about Jake Majors, especially with the improvements of the strength and conditioning program. I think Junior Angulau and Hayden Connor are your guards. Am I tripping for thinking that we at least know who our guys are on the interior? Yes. My questions are, and we heard about Gorham Welsh just a few hours ago, who is flipping from defensive line to offensive line. So that's another sort of Gorham Welsh for those who haven't heard. But the tackles. Christian Jones came out last year, was our starting left tackle, and things didn't go well. We had high hopes for Andre Carrot coming off his freshman year, and he struggled. If we can get them to the point where they're serviceable at tackle, that helps out Quinn and Hudson. That buys time for my freshmen to be in the incubator to where if they're playing, it's because they're overtaking somebody that's already good, not because I need them to play whether or not they're ready. I hope that makes sense in terms of why this spring is so critical. I think it's going to be tough to evaluate them though in spring brawl, Tran, because as we saw last year, it's really tough when you don't have great edge rushers there to kind of grade them against. Because I think we ran into this trap last year, but I still think it's critical for this staff and us as fans to say, you know what, Kyle Flood feels good about at least his starting five coming out of spring. And then we let Kelvin Banks see if he can go in there and compete. We let DJ go in there and see if he can compete. But we don't have to just say, hey, we got to throw you into the fire, young man, right off the bat for development.
And that's why we're saying that, the spring is so important, is because Kyle Flood will know real fast whether we're going to need help. And I think he has carte blanche to actually go out and say, hey, Steve, I need someone else, honestly. So we'll know that fast, and that's why it's so important. I just don't think that, I've already been seeing people that talk about Bama playing Bama. You think if we have serviceable tackles against Bama, that's going to be good enough?
No, not against Will Anderson and Dallas Turner and the freshmen they have coming in on that. No.
Yeah, no. So we need better than serviceable in my eyes, for even in the spring. But you're right; it's hard to determine that when we don't have that edge rusher. If we did have maybe O'Shawn Mathis on the other end at that time, and we could see them holding their own against him, then I'd feel a little bit more comfortable.
That's one person who I will accept if somebody wants to put that on their list. Again, guys, the topic of the day, not top five, but five. Who are your five most important players heading into spring ball that you're taking a look at? If you want to throw, now I know he's not on the team and people don't want to jinx it, blah, blah, but if you want to throw him in and say, hey, O'Shawn Mathis is one of my five, because if he's on the team, that's a win, right? Like if he's just on the roster, we get better, right? And so Kyle Flood, I mean, we know how he recruited his ass off. He was one of the best recruiters in college football this year, no doubt about it. But now we want to see that continue of development. What stuff he did last year with Tope, the stuff he did last year with some of the interior guys was impressive throughout the season after they were struggling so much. They weren't a connected group. And really, really struggling. People are blown away. They don't recognize you, Tran.
Oh, well. It's good.
My man looks like he's 20 years old. What's up, Timothy? How you guys doing? Make sure y'all hit that like button. We got 100 people in here. We appreciate y'all coming in and discussing. I agree with Texas Homer's point. This is spot on in terms of the defensive line. It screwed up our defensive line evaluations, Tran. We thought we were better than what we were. So that's what's tough about the spring sometimes too, is when a group is way behind and the other group looks good because that's who they're going up against, and then we our evaluation is off.
Well,
And then
it
we
was
go up
also
against the real killers and we have problems.
well, it was a combination of things. Like we were dominating our offensive line, and you're right, Homer. That our offensive line turned out to not be great at the beginning of the year, but we were also judging them by how they finished the season the previous season. Our defensive line was very stout because we didn't lose many people. I think we lost Taquan Graham. That was the only
The
person we
year
lost.
before.
Yeah, that was the only person we
And
lost.
I mean, I guess you can throw Joseph Osai in there if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, of course,
Mhm.
Joseph Osai. But even when Joseph Osai was gone for the last 3 games of the season, we still were only giving up 3 yards a carry. So I mean and we even went against Bryce Young, right? Not Bryce Young. Who's I'm trying to think of the name of the running back from Iowa State.
Oh, Brees Hall.
Brees Hall. Thank you, God. Yeah, we even went against him, and he only scored 1 touchdown, and we held him, I think, under almost under 100 yards, which was almost unheard of for that year. So our defensive line was really good the year before, and then we were very porous the year
That's a good
last
point.
year.
Yeah, we took a big step back across the board. That was Oscar Giles's group, Chris Ash, all those guys. I mean, Osai made a big difference. Osai made a huge difference. But I agree. I mean, they did take a gigantic step back with PK. Hopefully, that's a step back, take a step forward. My next 3 guys, you can put them in any order you want to. But Tran, I'll let you go. Who's your number 3 on your list?
My number 3 is Byron Murphy,
Okay. Why?
and the
See,
reason
Cook and
why
Co
is
has
that
Murphy on his list too.
I think he really built himself a really good brand with this coaching staff to the point where he started getting a lot of playing time towards the end of the year. And I think another year with strength and conditioning and his attitude, I think we're going to start seeing a lot from him. And I want to see him take that step forward because I don't want to ever throw, because Colburn's my guy. I don't want to ever throw him to the side, but it's almost to that point where it's like, shit or get off the pot, or guess what? The youth is coming forward, and everyone's speaking very highly of Byron Murphy, and that's someone we need. We need someone to if we have a terrible offensive line, I want him to be the reason why it's shown and showcased why we have a terrible offensive line.
Good pick with Murphy, and your reasoning behind it, I think, is very sound. I have a different defensive lineman on my list. I think a lot of people know who it is. Um, but it's funny you bring up guys like Coburn. I see somebody else earlier that brought up Deshaun Jameson. I don't include Overshown in this group, but some of these guys that came back that we were a little bit like kind of like, oh wow, interesting. You decided to come back. Those are, I don't, for those Trey, you know where I'm going with this, but the coming to America people out there, rent is due, mother, right? Like rent is due. Wake up, Stu. Wake up. Stop acting like rent is due. And what I mean by that is some of you guys from the 2018 class, 2019 class, if there's any people still left from that class, it's now or never for y'all. And I think this is a get real spring, right? This is a get real in terms of the coaches can be honest with you. Hey, you guys came back. No spots are guaranteed. We're going to play the best guys. If you're really going to have to step your game up if you want to be on the field, or else we're playing you. We're playing the younger guy. Now, if you come in here and you're in great shape, you're ready to lead, you're ready to set a good example and leverage your experience in a positive manner, then I'm with it, right? I'm with it. Let's do it. Let's rock.
Yeah.
Right. Let's rock. Deshaun can help us on special teams. Like we know where that value is too. So I'm not dismissive of that. But at the same token, there are people now that have, at their positions that have been in the incubator 2-3 years now. We're not waiting anymore. So if you're not there yet or you're even, we're leaving. Rent is due, older guys. Period. Y'all don't have a leg to stand on. Y'all led this team to 5-7. There's no leg to stand on. You got to earn your job now. All right. And that's just a very, very real conversation that needs to happen with these older heads. And it happens all over college football, right? Because you look at some of the older heads, even last year on our team, Malcolm Epps at the end of spring. We part ways. It's no disrespect or saying you're bad for the culture or anything like that. It's just you got to get out the way. You're not going to play. We're being upfront with you. Keeping it a buck, right? So that's the time for those type of conversations, in my opinion. My number 3 guy is actually, you know what? I'll flip. Like I said, I don't have them in order. So for the sake of positions, I'll actually say this. Alfred Collins is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be reading in the practice reports that Alfred Collins is whooping people's ass, period. That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to be like I told you, we're not sugarcoating anything anymore.
I don't want just Alfred Collins. I want all defense. If we need to take on the persona of their defensive line coach, Mr. Davis, and we need a tough-minded defense. I want a nasty defensive front.
I want that too, and I agree with you. I'm saying Alfred Collins in particular because of his talent level.
His skill, yeah.
His skill set. I'm not just talking about, you know what? He had a great practice because his motor is blah, blah, blah. No, I need to hear him doing freak stuff like he was doing his freshman year, where he's picking off, lobbing back in Sports Center top 10 stuff because he has that type of stuff in his bag. I need to see it. I need to hear about it. We're obviously not going to be there in practice, right? But I'm not even just talking about the spring game because a lot of people are going to hear us talking and think we're only talking about the spring game. We're talking about spring practice as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be reading on Inside Texas. I need to be reading on 247 or Orange Bloods or wherever you get your insider content or any of the sites out there. I need to be seeing as a fan and hearing that, light bulb's going on for Alfred Collins. Light bulb's going on for 95.
He's owning every one-on-one that he's thrown out of.
Absolutely.
I get what you're saying.
I don't have time to wait for people anymore, Tran. Coley, those of you guys who've been, following us on Twitter and our Twitter space, I'm gonna shout out Coley here, and because we had this conversation in Spaces a few weeks ago, and it was JR too. Shout out to Coley and JR because we were both, the three of us are having this conversation in Spaces. We got to get back to being the people like Alfred Collins that come in this program ranked that high. You're here for 3 years and you're going the NFL's coming to get you. That's what it needs to be. It can't be he got here and the player wasn't as good or the player didn't work out or blah, 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 blah. Nah, man. We got to get back into, by the time they sophomores, people are looking for them. I need to be hearing every practice report because I'm going – Trey, get out the magnifying glass. I'm going to be studying that thing, man. Where's Alfred Collins? Did he dominate? Period. No more excuses. It's a want-to thing to me at this point. I don't want to hear about he had to play this position or he's out of position here. They got reinforcements coming in now, especially if they get O'Shawn Mathis. I don't want to hear it anymore. Got to see him dominate. He's really critical for me this spring, Alfred Collins. I'm going to go next, Tran, because I got a guy, same point, different point of his career. Same point, though. Jatavian Sanders is on this list for me. And he was higher at one point when I was thinking about this earlier in the offseason, but obviously I wanted to see how recruiting played out first with the tackles. And then none of the recruits came for spring, so they can't be included in this evaluation. And then, obviously, the quarterback, to me, again, like I said before, I believe you can make an argument that Quinn Ewers is the most important college football player heading into the 22 season in all of college football, period. You can make an argument. I'm not saying it's outright. You can make an argument. But in terms of other guys who are physical freaks and upside, I like what I'm starting to hear behind the scenes about Jatavian Sanders. I'm starting to hear positive things. I'm starting to hear good rapport. I'm starting to hear that, he's things might be starting to get figured out. Now, also another reason why he got bumped is because we picked up Jaleel Billingsley from
that's my fourth. That's why I laughed. I was like, that's my fourth.
We picked up Billingsley, so that kind of buys things. But whether Billingsley's there or not, Juan Davis, Gunnar Harriman, all that, there's still more dogs to get out of Denton Ryan, recruiting wise. We need to develop these guys. There's still more dogs to develop out of Denton Ryan. We need to develop these guys. Why? Who's on here? Is Gray Man a Aggie fan? We need to sniff some of these guys out. Some of y'all help me sniff them out in the chat. Tran, if you want to go in on Billingsley, go ahead.
So I'm saying Billingsley is because we lost our two starting tight ends last year. Jared Wiley went to TCU, and we got him from someone that Sark has been around for a long time. Like he recruited him at Bama. He's built for Sark's system. I mean, I don't think he's definitely a flex tight end where he's going to go out for passing more often, but he knows the whole system. It should be an easy plug and play, but I want to see how he can handle it, because a lot of times if we're going to if we're not going to have the offensive line help, we may be in 12 personnel all the time, and we might have to see him chip block. And Jared Wiley started getting pretty good at that, the chip and then going, but he only got, I don't know, like 6 or 7 passes that I saw. But Billingsley, we went out and got him for a reason. So that's why I want to see him produce. And I think I saw 1 reception in the spring game last year to a tight end last year. So I want to see them integrated within the offense.
I like the point about Billingsley. My thing with Billingsley is this. I think this is a business thing from a standpoint of he's very comfortable working with Steve Sarkeesian and Jeff Banks and the relationships that were there at Alabama. He won a national championship with that group and was somebody who had a very good playoffs, right? We all remember what Jaleel Billingsley did in that playoff run with Mac Jones and those guys, right? Bill O'Brien's system was, throwing for a little bit of a wrench. Cameron Lato stepped up on Bama. All that is well documented. My thing with Jaleel Billingsley is, if I'm Jeff Banks, do you want to go to the league? What are you here for?
Yeah.
We're here to get you, again, get Jaleel Billingsley. This should be, you come in.
One and done,
because you already know the offense and you've already been productive in this system. And you're actually helping us with a need, because he can help us in that flex role easily. And he can, and like you said, we don't have to just take him off the field, because he is a willing blocker and he's underrated with his physicality and his blocking. So I think Jaleel Billingsley, the question is just consistency. I need you to do what you did against Notre Dame. I need you to do that every week. Right. And so as long as you do that every week, then we should have no problems getting you to where you want to go. The coaches need to have real conversations with dudes. You have NFL body, you have NFL skill set. Let's get you there. All right. So we can develop the guys behind you and keep this train moving along so we get to where we want to go. Gray Man here. I don't want to just throw people out. We're not a cult here. If you're going to disagree about something, that's fine. But I want to have logic to our disagreement, right? Or within the conversation. Let's have a civil discourse. So Gray Man said, Sanders is a letdown or a bust. Bro, what year was Jatavian Sanders? Hasn't he only been at the school? Am I tripping? Has he only been at school for a year?
One year.
Learning a new position full time. What are we talking? How are we calling people bust when they're learning a position they've never played before in a scheme they've never played before
at
the college level? And they weren't. This is actually Jatavian Sanders' first spring. What are we talking about? what are we talking about in terms of calling somebody a bust after 1 year? I mean, unless you're on the staff and you see something that I don't know. Are you there in practice every day? I mean, he's been there 1 year. How are we already getting there in terms of calling the player a bust? I don't understand that.
And when you're going from a high school where you're dominating as a wide receiver to a tight end, well, he was a wide receiver and a line D end, right? But to a college tight end, you have to put on the weight and the strength to be able to handle that position. So I agree with you. You got to get, especially when you're switching a complete position, you got to give him time to go ahead and to go ahead with the role.
And I don't mind this. I don't mind, again, if that's your opinion, you disagree. I just want logic to be a part of it, because you can say I don't prefer, like, calling somebody a bust after 1 year to me is just, I mean, it's crazy. And tight end is not easy to play. Tight end is not easy to
It's
play.
not.
It's not. You're doing a lot of different aspects to that. So that's where I'm gonna move forward, because Homer actually brought up too. There's multiple facets to the tight end position within our own offense. What Gunnar Helm is being asked to do is not going to be the same as what Jaleel Billingsley or Juan Davis is going to be asked to do. So there's different nuance to the tight end position in terms of responsibility, as we saw with Cade Brewer and Jarrett Wiley, right? So please keep that in mind. Kason Chaney woke up early and chose violence as well. I know he got into a fight, and I got to go back. He sent me something on Instagram. Kason, you know what you sent me on Instagram this morning? Man was over there arguing on social media at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was like, damn, get him, Kason. Let's see. Hey, if you think it's easy, please show me all the guys that are just busting out. The one guy I've seen bust out early at tight end was Bowers on Georgia, and he was insane. But I mean, you're talking about dudes that haven't even played the position before. Maybe easy for you on Madden when you flip a dude over on the position, but we'll agree to disagree there. I'm not going to keep belaboring that point. Yeah, but Jatavian Sanders overall, I just want to hear the development. I'm not saying Jatavian. I don't need to sit up here and say he needs to be. I'm actually post Homer's point because he's trying to educate some of you guys out here. I believe with Jatavian, I'm not saying I need to see him as a starter. What I'm saying is he a part of the offense? Are we seeing him progress and develop chemistry? Is he going to be some type of weapon? I think it was frustrating for a lot of us where it's like we're struggling to get something out there, and we can't manufacture anything in the end zone or in the red zone, if you will, right? And just using him as a weapon, as what he did do at Denton Ryan, I think that's important. Rodolfo, I'm guesstimating. I'm pretty sure that Troy's not going to practice this spring. I think we're taking that. So we're talking exclusively about people that are here, healthy, ready to go for spring ball. Troy's going to be a beast if he can stay healthy. Isaac makes a good point about Brennan Marion here. Is getting these receivers together. I've been following all the drills. Greatly improved. I agree. I think it's gonna be better complementary football with our receivers, and I think you'll see that impact in our passing game as well as the run game, to be honest with you. All right, Tran, I got one more player. So my first four were Quinn, both tackles, Jones and Carrick, Jatavian Sanders, and Alfred Collins. My fifth player, and somebody said it earlier.
You better not say what I'm saying.
All right, I'm going Jalen Ford.
Okay.
As my fifth guy. I'm excited that DeMarvion Overshown is here for the spring, healthy, and this is really his first real spring playing linebacker, especially, and I think that will do wonders for him. But I know, like, DeMarvion Overshown is one of my more proven guys. I know what I got with him. I just need to – now he can take a leap, and that's another person like Billingsley where if I'm a coach, I'm going to say, hey, these are the holes in your game. This is what I need to see. Do you want to go to the league? Like, you can actually really make yourself some money if you take this offseason and this season itself very, very seriously and improve those holes in your game. But in terms of weaknesses and impact for the team, middle linebacker, I need one. I need a Mike. Luke Brockermeyer has got torn ACL. I don't even know if Luke Brockermeyer is going to be ready to go for the start of the season. And then we got a lot of guys who are tweeners. You know, the David Bendas, the Devin Richardsons. Some of these guys really aren't Mikes. Jalen Ford's really the guy that I'm looking at. Like, I need 4-1 ready to go at Mike. And it's more so hearing peace of mind type stuff from the insiders that, hey, Steve, Texas fans, Mike's not going to be a concern, at least with the starter, because I still think they may need to go still back in the portal and address it anyway from a depth perspective. But at least with the guy we got there right now, we're fine. He can play. We know Jalen Ford has talent, and we've seen a lot of good football from Jalen Ford. But I need him to seize that position now, is my point at middle linebacker. So my fifth guy would be Jalen Ford.
My fifth guy is going to be, and it all goes back to the coach and hire of Gary Patterson, is Ryan Watts. We haven't had a defensive back in a long time. That's one of those big time, long rangy defensive backs. He has experience in big time program at Ohio State. I think he had 2 career interceptions, but you know, that's the one knock in my book about the Deshaun Jameson, is that it's his size when he's on corner. Ryan Watts, man, if you're in nickel or dime coverage against this dude, he could maul a big wide receiver because of his size. He's 6'3", I think they said, and like 210. It's something that, you know, I really liked when, especially when Charlie Strong was here as coach. He made that a point.
Like the bigger corners.
Yeah, he went for those bigger corners, and like Holton Hill was great. Dude who went to Mississippi State, I can't think of him right off the top of my head. He transferred to Mississippi.
Jalen Green, he was a Tom Herman guy. But Jalen Green was a bigger. He was
another bigger corner. I'm just naming off some of the bigger corners that I really like, and you know. And you know what Gary Patterson does with his corners? He makes them physical. He wants them physical. He wants to get into the bigger wide receiver's head and, you know, rough them up a little bit and get them out of their comfort zone. And this is a type of defensive back that Gary Patterson likes. So that is my fifth.
So I think it's interesting with the DBs, because I actually was debating with I've been big on the BJ Allen train, one of our freshmen, because I really wanted to put a true freshman on here. But with now hearing Keaton Crawford is going to safety, I'm really curious where Anthony Cook plays. I heard Anthony Cook's going to safety. I have no idea.
That's what I heard too. But I have he to me has nickel all over him, man. That's just
I thought he played well. I thought he played overall. All things considered, I wasn't pissed off with how he played in the nickel. So, I mean, but then again, they may say, Terrence Brooks could step up or whatever. So I debated, like, my 5. I just felt like Jalen Ford was my 5th over all the DBs because of the position he plays.
Yep, position in need.
But Keaton Crawford going to safety is a big deal. I just don't know what the combination of people is going to be. I think that's probably the first thing I'm going to pay attention to when we hear like that first week of practice reports, is just the combinations of DBs. Because to your point, Tran, Gary Patterson is going to be in the ear of these guys, helping them experiment with this, because they want to make sure that coverage is perfectly aligned with what PK wants to do schematically up front. And what's the best combination of guys that gives us? Also, where our eyes are looking still in the transfer portal. We know that we still have spots available. Who are we already looking at to where it's like, we need another boundary safety, right, or something like that. So I think I wanted to put Keaton Crawford on here because I think Crawford going to safety is a big deal, but we'll see how it turns out. They move people all over the place nonstop. I mean, and this is the time of the year to do it and experiment because you also want to see what the chemistry is like. Do these guys communicate well together? Do they identify stuff well together? Those of you guys out there, I know Isaac is here in the chat. He played DB at a high level.
Well, that's a great point. In our interview with Caden, that's the biggest difference.
Right.
He said was the communication that they have, and that's what you want from your secondary, including, to your point, a Jalen Ford. If Jalen Ford's shouting out what's going to happen, the safeties will know too. The corners will know as well. So I mean, it's all connected at that point.
Staying connected. Horns behind enemy line said the mix and matches are endless in the DB room. It's going to be crazy. Balance and act. No, I agree.
Yes.
So Homer, they're moving Cook to boundary, huh? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, coffee was field or free. Cook at boundary is interesting because then that's a lot of times that's probably going to be him and Ryan Watts, I would assume. Watts there at corner. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see where they put Deshaun, or all these guys, right? I want to see what the combinations are going to be like. I'm really, really curious to see. Trent, let me go back. I want to get your list back on here and type this out, just so people know what each of our lists were. Because we did not discuss this beforehand. We wanted to kind of.
It was Christian Jones. It was yours. It was Murphy. It was Billingsley, and then it was TJ Ryan Watts. Sorry.
Jones, yours. Who was your three?
Murphy.
Byron Murphy.
Billingsley. And then Watts.
Okay. All right, let's talk to the chat. I'm gonna save this. So that look right to you, Tran, in terms of your list?
Jones, yours, Murphy, Billingsley, Watts. Yep.
Okay. So let's talk to the chat. Who do we miss? Who do you guys think we're either, I don't want to say sleeping on. Again, it's just more of who needs to have a big spring for you, for whatever reason, right? Whether it's, this is last chance spring for certain guys, whether it's, hey, I think so-and-so is going to leap over certain players, and also show us your list. Like I said, qualifying the level of importance. It's not who are the 5 best players, right? Again, people like Bijan, people like Xavier Worthy, we just want to get them out the spring healthy. We know, boom, they're good to go. We know what we got. But more so, who are the guys you're looking at coming into spring? Your eyes will just gravitate on the practice reports to that particular player. Alfred Collins is huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like the kid, and this is where it starts to go into you fall in love with certain guys. I like the kid. And I love his and I love he showed us something his freshman year when I thought he was in a better position to really kind of showcase. He was in that rotation. And so that's why I think we all had very, very high expectations for him. I want the world for Alfred Collins, personally. I want the world for him.
We're
Some people
talking
say
about Roach. Is that what they're talking about for number 2?
What about number 2?
Yeah, are they asking about Roach?
What are you talking about, Corey? Oh, go. Hey, we got some promotion in here. Horns Behind Enemy Lines, new YouTube channel. Y'all go check that out and subscribe. Support a fellow Longhorn content creator. They said they're working on breakout player as we speak. This is the time. This is the perfect time of year to do it. 20 days out. 20 days out. I'm excited. I love what I'm seeing from Justice Finkley in the weight room. If you guys have seen any of those videos, he's got, clearly he looks like a guy from Alabama. That Southern strength, that their build is just a little different, bro. You remember when Malcolm Roach got here and we didn't know anything about him other than he went to like some little ass high school and his dad was the coach. And then it was like, oh, he's a grown man. He was like from somewhere. I don't remember where he was from. I think it was Louisiana.
Somewhere in Louisiana, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in Louisiana. But he got here and Malcolm Roach was like one of our lowest recruited guys, but he was like physically already built. I'm curious to see what some of these guys look like. Oh, I want to get back to there was one I missed. I think it was Kaysen. Kaysen gave us a super chat, and I hey Queen, I see you in here too. How you doing? Hey, you guys are asking for the world if you're asking for Coburn to be Jordan Davis. Come on, let's be fair. No disrespect. Yes, Brockemeyer tore his ACL. He's in recovery. That was last year. Don't forget about kicker. I've seen a few of you mention this. I'm surprised Tran wasn't on this, especially after our special teams fee. Tran always loves to identify the specials. Let me read Kaysen's thing.
Apparently our transfer people, our transfer announcement. So don't identify that. Is that Pearson? Drew Pearson?
Yeah, we're either gonna start the guy with the crazy hair. What's his name? Burt Auburn, or the kicker from Austin, that young guy we got from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll see.
Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. We're gonna be breaking in a new kicker and a new punter.
It's big. But
yeah, the kicker
Jeff Banks.
Go
make some. Go make your money, buddy.
You're just putting that all on Jeff Banks.
Go, Jeff Banks. Go make some money, man. Go make your money. Not just a bag man this year.
Totally unrelated. Bought my ticket to see Batman on Friday, so I'm in there.
Oh, you gotta let me know how it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you know.
It looks really good, though.
Reviews coming. Oh, I got a Lockhart barbecue alum in here. My man Jimmy. What's good, man? What are you, a Smitty's guy? Kreitz? What's going on? Chisholm Trail? What you doing down there, Jimmy? Let me know. Yeah, the kicker situation is something to keep an eye on.
Rodolfo, it's Brennan Thompson, the kid with the speedster freshman.
Got tickets to Bama, Texas. All right. Well, y'all let us know. So just to recap before we sign off, because I wanted to get in here and get straight to the point. No monkeying around, as somebody said in the comments. By the way, shout out to BUSR, official sponsor, official sportsbook, official betting partner, Fanatic Perspective. We will be having March Madness contest coming, as well as a NFL offseason collaboration with a prominent Houston ESPN personality that is on its way next week. We're going to do a home and home. I'll be on his YouTube space. He'll be on my YouTube space. And we are both sponsored by BUSR. BUSR was kind enough to put us together. So, as they support our channels, we work together. It's a family over here. And hit that promo code Sports100FP, 100% free play. So Quinn, like I said, we just want to hear he's as good as the talent. I'm not saying he's coming in and he's the best quarterback ever day one or even at the beginning of the season, but we see the traits, and we see the traits on a consistent basis, and we see the traits within a Steve Sarkeesian offense with the weapons that he'll be playing with. I think he can be one of the most important players, if not the most important player, with his brand, with everything going on, the NIL era. He's the face, make or break, fair or not, right? Fair or not for him. This is where we're at. We also have a savior complex here at the University of Texas, fair or not. When you don't have first-round picks, when you go 5-7, when you lose to teams like Kansas, you're looking for somebody to come in and elevate things and save you. And a lot of people have said, well, if you get the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. So now we got the quarterback. Coach Wynn got that. Quinn came. I don't want to see it. I'm going to rehash what we said at the beginning. I don't want to see in the spring game we start playing this funky game again, bro. Because y'all will hear from me. We let that shit slide last year, Tran. We're not letting it slide again in terms of the games that were played. Now, if they say, because somebody said, let me see here in the chat, Hudson Card will start. If Hudson Card starts, I'm not anti-Hudson Card start. Here, please hear me out. I'm not anti-Hudson Card start. I'm pro best situation for Texas. However, if Hudson Card's starting and Hudson Card is where he was last season, and we're still having some of the same, he's almost doubting himself and what he can do, and he's not elevating past some of the flaws that were clearly around him, then that is a problem considering what you went and did to get Quinn and what Quinn is as a prospect, fair or not. So I'm not anti. If Hudson Card comes out and he throws the football to the fullest ability that he's capable of, and he's clearly already familiar with the offense, and everyone's just in agreement that he's lights out, and we see it in person, we are also seeing it with our own eyes, I'm here for it. If the team is responding to you, the team got to respond. But we can't dismiss. And I hear you, Paxton. Paxton said experience. We can't dismiss. But Quinn wasn't just sitting around doing nothing last year. He was in a quarterback room in an elite program. He wasn't, it's not Quinn coming straight out of high school type scenario. Please understand that. He is a transfer. He's not somebody who didn't do anything or wasn't throwing to elite guys or any of that stuff. But we've got to determine, I'm with Homer on this. We can't do we will call that, we will call it out, man. I think we're all in unison on that as a fan base.
Well,
roll with
I'm in the corner of, if Quinn is just a little bit, if Quinn is just not just a little bit not as good as Hudson Card is right now, for him actually playing a little bit, I still say go with Quinn because of the upside and how much he can actually learn within the game. That's me. That's my thought process.
And
you got to live with the struggle, because there's going to be some struggle. It's not like he's going to come out and he's just going to be the perfect player. We have to remember that. There's going to be some struggle.
I'm also, we can end the video there or in this conversation here in terms of the expectation. I appreciate that JW Crunch hit the like button as we get ready to wrap up. I'm serious. We are going to wrap up because I'm hungry. I need to go eat.
15 minutes later.
I'm gonna just hit the end stream button just to shut everybody up.
The wrap it up button.
Wrap it up. Hey, wrap it up, B. Hey, wrap it up, B. Hey,
wrap that gavel up.
Speaking of BUSR, who you got real quick? You got Colby Covington or you got Masvidal?
I got Colby. I think that knockout for Masvidal from Usman with torn ligaments in his hands, that's not a good look. And Colby, I mean, he didn't look terrible against Usman when he fought him. He didn't look terrible. He did get rocked 1 or 2 times, but he showed how tough he was.
He got better as the fight went along. He just got going way too late. But I agree.
But the thing is, if he can get it to the second to mid second round to third round, Masvidal doesn't go that long. Masvidal's explosive. He wants to knock you out within the first 2 rounds. And and I think Colby's wrestling will be able to handle it. So that's what I have.
All right. Well, y'all do with that information what you will. Put your bets in at busr.com/fanatic. Our resident expert UFC analyst just gave you his
do not say that because people are like, you lost my money. Colby got caught. You lost my money.
You lost my money.
Yeah.
You lost my money. All right. All right. So the Bama game, because last year we were, and it wasn't the Bama game, but Hudson Card starts Louisiana and Arkansas. Things go to shit against Arkansas, and it's Casey Thompson until basically the rest of the way until his injuries came. So I think it's interesting, the mental aspect of this. We've got to live. We're going to have growing pains, even with the triplets and the excitement and all that. We're going to have some beautiful, beautiful games. But, outside of Bijan Robinson, these guys are pretty young, right? And so, again, we're building back up this program. Now, I'm not saying we can't be ahead of schedule and surprise people. Don't get me twisted. But in terms of overall expectation, to come out and say, because I see a lot of people drinking the Kool-Aid heavy right now. Heavy.
They get into that every single year. It's not. But we said we weren't going to do it. We made a promise. So let's hold ourselves accountable to that. We're not doing it this year.
We're not doing
going back to the mental aspect of could the Bama game really ruin Ewers and Hudson Card mentally after that game? Honestly, I don't think so, because it's different than the Arkansas game. Everyone picked Texas to beat Arkansas.
Yeah, Texas was 6.5 point favorite.
We will not be. No one will give us the chance to beat Alabama this next year. No one will. So they're already mentally preparing. Like, hey, no one's going to give you a shot in the world to win that game. You should be preparing for that. And hey, let's go shock the world.
Killer Mind the Music. This is why, if you look at my list, yes, I have quarterback up top, but right behind that are linemen, interior guys. Even Sanders is still kind of, weapon / interior guy, right? We got people closer to the football, right? Building that toughness. So that's why the DBs, if you get your shit together up front on defense, the DBs will come along. You got speed, talent. You got people back there. Translist. Look at Translist. Tran has alignment number 1. He's actually going in your direction of how you have it, right? So trenches, right? That's how this team recruited. That's why we're so excited for the 2022 class. I wish those puppies would get here sooner, but it is what it is, right? And so we got to be thankful for that. For the folks in here, please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys coming and joining our chat. We'll try to do more kind of focused lives like this. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. We kind of came in a little bit more prepped on exactly what we wanted to target. If you're watching the video after the fact, please hit me in the comments with your 5 most important Texas Longhorns heading into spring practice. Who is this spring critical for you? Who's the guy you're going to be looking at all the practice reports, scouring to find their name, and really, really looking to see good football and hearing about good football from those guys. So let us know. Tran, thank you. Thank you, man. I
No,
appreciate
thank
you
you for
joining
having me.
tonight. It was fun.
Thank you.
Horns,
Yes, sir.
we got our horns up in here. I was getting ready to do the horns always up, but I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor real quick. busr.com/fanatic. Sports 100 FP bonus right now. Heavy NBA stuff going on. We gave you a little free Masvidal Covington preview, as well as the March Madness soon to come. So thank you to BUSR. Hit up busr.com/fanatic.
And Steven and I will sit down like we always do and do a little mini teaser parlay, and he'll send it out. So
sounds good. We'll get it out via social. Y'all follow us on everything. Subscribe. Appreciate y'all so very much. It's good to be back.
absolutely.
Horns always up.